Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video today, I'm going to give you certain strategies, certain techniques that will help you improve your skill at writing an effective descriptive passage. Be it a passage, be it a story, be it an essay. With these techniques in mind, you will be definitely able to master the skill of writing a very good descriptive passage. Now, what is a descriptive essay? A descriptive essay or any sort of descriptive writing is something that describes. So, what does it describe? It can describe anything. It can describe a person, it can describe a place, it can describe an object, it can describe a memory, a memorable and enjoyable one, or maybe a tragic one, or simply an experience. So it is a description of anything, a description in details, in vivid details. And how do we acquire that skill? Now, there are quite a number of techniques that will help you to acquire that skill of writing an effective descriptive essay. The first one and the most basic one would be to make use of the senses around you, isn't it? We look at the world through our senses, the five senses. Of course, we have the sixth one as well, which is the most important of all. But barring that, we have got five senses: the sight, the sound, the taste, the touch, and the smell. So you will have to make use of sensory imagery in your writing. You will have to write the essay in such a manner that the reader will be able to visualize what you're trying to describe. For example, if I say, I was standing in the empty room. So when I say I was standing in the empty room, you might envision a picture like this: a clear, bright, illuminated, incandescent room. Or perhaps you might also visualize something like this, which is dark, okay, and gloomy, and rather creepy and eerie. So, unless and until you make use of the sensory imagery, the reader will not be exactly able to perceive or envision what you are trying to describe. Okay, so it's important you make use of all the five senses plus the literary devices. What do I mean by literary devices? The figurative language. For example, simile, metaphor, alliteration, onomatopoeia. So it's important that you make use of these sensory language and figurative language in order to create that vivid scene you want to convey to your reader. So you are painting a picture. You're painting a picture with words, right? So writing a very effective descriptive passage is quite a challenging one, but with a lot of reading, with a lot of practice, you'll be definitely able to master the skill. So the use of these sensory imageries and figurative language make the entire thing much more enjoyable to read. Now let's look at sight, something that appeals to the reader's sense of seeing. Supposedly you want to describe your puppy. You could say, my puppy had beautiful jade green eyes. So from this simple sentence, the readers they start to envision exactly what your puppy looks like. Now, coming to the sense of sound, okay, the oral imagery. It describes how things, or exactly what type of sound a particular thing produced. For example, you could say, as I entered the room, I heard the floorboards creak, and I knocked into a table, and a glass jar hit the floor. Crash. So here we have got plenty of oral imagery. Coming to smell. Now you could say, as I walked on, a smell like rotting vegetables filled my nostrils. Quite an effective one, huh? Coming to the sense of touch. You could say something, it describes how a particular thing felt. You could say the sharp wind or the cold wind pierced my skin like a sharp dagger. So here you're using not only a sensory imagery, but also a figurative language, which is a simile. So you're describing or you're comparing two different things using the words as or like. So this way you can use similes, you can use metaphor. For example, life is a journey. The world is a stage. You could use metaphors, which is indirect comparison. You could use personification. The daffodils were dancing and fluttering in the breeze. So non living things are given human like qualities. And now, finally, coming to the sense of taste. It's rather difficult actually to exactly create that feeling of how things tasted. For example, maybe it was your birthday party and your mother had baked quite a number of brownies. So you could say, as I swallowed the chocolate brownie carefully, its succulent, melting goodness caused all my senses to celebrate. Okay, so in this way, we create the sensory imageries, we make use of the sensory imageries in such a manner that the readers will be able to accurately envision what we are trying to convey. Now, here at this juncture, I would like to tell you that making use of the five senses does not mean you will have to make use of all the five senses at the same time. No, it makes uh, the entire thing extremely redundant. So, you have to understand exactly which imagery would fit that particular description at that point of time. The most common and the popular ones are the sight imageries and the sound imageries, followed by the remaining three. Of course, you will have to use the remaining imageries, but when you have the opportunity to, it is not mandatory to, or it is not necessary to use all the imagery at the same time. Also, do not forget to make use of the literary devices like similes, metaphors, personification, alliteration, onomatopoeia in order to enrich your writing style. Now, coming to some other techniques, please make use of punctuation. Incorrect use of punctuations or simply the lack of it uh, totally turns down the reader's impression. So it's important that you make use of punctuation marks effectively. The next most important thing is to structure your essay. You have to ensure that you divide your essay into several sections and you begin with a new paragraph every time something new happens. For example, you begin with a new paragraph when you're talking about a new place. You begin with a new paragraph when you're talking about a new person. You begin with a new paragraph when you're talking about a different time. So it's important that you divide your sections, you divide your essay in such manner. A maximum of 5 paragraphs could be made in a descriptive essay. Now, coming to the endings are so very important, right? So, you can end in a way that will leave your readers with something to ponder, something to reflect upon. Endings can be tragic or happy, or simply you could provide a surprise twist, like O. Henry, to your essay. Or you could also pose a question. Questions could be posed as a part of a concluding line. So it's important that you cover all the important aspects of a descriptive essay. Make sure that you proofread your essay. After having written the entire composition, please proofread it. By proofreading, I mean revising it all. You have to ensure whether you have made use of all the sensory imageries, a figurative language, whether there is any lack of punctuation mark, because punctuation marks are so very important. Do not accidentally change the tenses. There shouldn't be any linguistic or structural mistakes in your writing, because all of these factors kind of determine the overall grade of your essay. Now, mostly I have covered everything, but one thing I would like to say is you won't become a great descriptive writer overnight. This magic won't happen overnight. But with these tips, with these techniques, you will be able to develop that art of writing a very good descriptive writing and create a lasting impression upon the examiners. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any doubt, if you have any query regarding the descriptive writing or regarding anything which is related to today's video, please do pose your questions in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Take care.